new homeowners, buyers of a new property, naturally feel very anxious about any dampness. Dampness during the process of buying the property, and dampness when the previous owner's items are taken away and damp is revealed in the wall. And it's completely understandable why, when people are spending so much money on buying a property, they're anxious. And unfortunately, the damp industry has fed on that anxiety. And I think we're seeing the beginning of the end. But what has happened is essentially the inmates have taken over the asylum. The builders have taken charge of the building changes, the damp proofing treatment, if you like. Damp proofing treatment can take many forms, but in this case, there's been chemical damp proofing treatment with the replacement of normal internal plaster with impermeable plaster, and it exacerbates the problems of condensation and vapor that we find that result essentially from modern living. Have a look at the report, and then I'll say a little bit more at the end.
These marks here are from damp proofing, and it looks like it's been done twice. And you know, the old saying is, if it doesn't work first time, try again. Well, of course, that isn't the best approach to it, and it will be because it's a misunderstanding, misdiagnosing the root cause of damp. But there's no major concern seen on the outside. Yeah, so obviously it's the same level as the floor here. Bit of a crack there, but I don't think that's major. Obviously I'm not a structural surveyor. Right. Yeah, it's looking pretty good on the outside. There's the damp zone there and down there. And then in behind the washing machine, which I guess is new, but the past one might be a washer dryer, and they can throw out a lot of humidity. Plus the fridge, the kitchen extractor fan is not going out. There is one in the wall there, but I can't see how you turn it on. Maybe it's humidity activated. Maybe it's that. Yeah. Oh, that is, but it's not an obvious place to. I'll test that. So it's noisy, so it probably isn't put on, and it's running slowly. And it's also, this kitchen is open plan, so it means that it won't be particularly effective, and it's hard to switch on. There's some rot in the timber floor, but that looks to me as though it's just use. It may not be rot, it's that discoloration. Interesting, despite being new and going straight up, it's running at 13.5, which should be 15, but it's not far out. Outside we see that there's some restriction to the airflow, but it's not too bad. Historically there's been some water here, but this has been replaced. Actually it's doing nothing. There's no pipes going into it. It looks new. A little bit strange. Can't even see where there would have been pipes. It's doing nothing. Keep an eye on that gutter. I mean, at the moment it looks okay, but I can see what looks like a twig there, which suggests, and there's growth, so you want to get the neighbours to check their gutter every so often. This is an area of weakness because it's cold and unheated by the neighbour, probably. So there's some down this. There we go. You can see it's crumbling a bit, but nothing major to worry about. It's just condensation there. There we go. And into the corner. Yeah. I'll get another meter, which is one that I recommend you get yourselves. It's worthwhile getting. Very inexpensive compared to the professional level. Uncalibrated, but it still works brilliantly in the same environment. You have to put it on masonry wall. So normal levels are about 45-50% maybe, and as you drop down, so it's going up, and you see that bubbling there as well. But it's not coming from the outside, it's coming from the inside. If you look on the outside, oh, there is a bit of, interesting. I wonder whether there's a leak on this. It's a bit dilapidated. It could be coming through there, but it's not showing up here, but it's these salts here suggest that water is passing in there. Likewise there, but these could be historic. It's difficult to know, but actually, part of the reason you're getting these salts here is it's been repointed, and modern pointing or cement-based pointing tends to have a lot of calcium sulfate, and the white salts are calcium sulfate. But so it could just be from when the pointing was put on, or there could be some water. But when water is dripping down, you normally see a white stain. So it is possible that it's just historic, and that it comes from the pointing itself. I'm not really seeing it elsewhere, and I'm not seeing, I mean, this is dilapidated, but it doesn't seem to be causing algal growth, moss, or other signs of dampness other than this, which is about halfway up the wall. So I suggest that you keep an eye on it and just see what happens during a rainstorm, and potentially consider replacing this. I wonder what that is for. Oh, that's from the boiler. Yeah, that's a condenser. It doesn't seem to be leaking. So here we are in behind. You can see condensation dribble marks there. Mould. It seems to be onto a solid floor, and see, yeah, so it's fully damp, deep inside, using a radio frequency damp meter. But if we just do the surface is damp as well, and outside you can see it's been damp proofed. Not that really benefits at all, but so this will just be condensation. You got the cold water pipe, so it's creating heat loss behind here, which is adding to the risk. Plus you've got the machine, and if it was a condenser dryer, they do throw out some vapor behind them. So the simple solution is to improve the extractor fan, or use of it. It's noisy. Personally, I would put it straight out, but you can use this one, but just be aware that it's not as effective as an overhob extractor fan. And put in insulation and monitor humidity, following Joule's law. So you've got a lot of cold pipes. Obviously there's insulation there, but water is coming in cold. You can see the rust around the pipe, so there's obviously a lot of vapor in this area. Yeah, so that's your root cause. All the way up this wall.
obviously that's basically to there, but it's hidden by the this wallpaper. So again, you're seeing the damp proofing treatment, which I think most people agree doesn't work. It was damp all the way up here, but no major signs on the outside. That pipe, overflow pipe, might have been dripping, but it wouldn't account for all the dampness here. So this is called it's actually a Doctometer. There are a lot of variations. This one has been a bit out of stock because I keep telling everyone about it. But you'll see the normal level on a wall is, of this wall is 44. You want to put it, make sure it's on masonry setting, which is the second one down. Otherwise it's for plasterboard. But as I say, it's to do with, I recommend people get this so that they know that following my recommendations, the wall is drying out, because it does take 9 months, and you know. But anyway, so you'll see as we go down, the meter reading will start to go up until it reaches 100% here. Now, the reason that is that the water is concentrating at the base of the wall, despite it being condensation, is the lower sections tend to be colder because it's obviously shaded from the sun outside. The ground is colder, but also because moisture in walls drop down through gravity, and the more moisture there's in the wall, the lower the insulating capacity of the wall, and so the increased heat loss and therefore increased risk of condensation. But you'll see the whole of this wall is damp. Are we on the north side here, or which way are we facing?
I think this is south facing.
Okay. Anyway, where would you see 100%? So, despite this being ventilation, which is probably that, I'm not a big believer in passive vents, because if there's no airflow outside, you don't get any benefit, and you get all the heat loss, all the downside, but none of the benefit. Right. But you want to use the extractor fan and dehumidifier to solve most of these problems. So the extractor fan is noisy, and therefore not many people use it. Yeah. It's on an adjacent wall, which means that it's not really targeted to the vapor coming from cooking. It's meant for cooking. It's much better to have an over-hob extractor fan, a hood type, but it needs to go out, and you could actually do that relatively easy. It's difficult to know if there's a lintel. There's possibly a lintel there, which might be the reason why it couldn't go out. But you could duct it all the way around and out. Yeah. And the other way of dealing with it is to cook with tops on pots and pans. Use that whenever there's vapor being generated. And so the other risk is that it's open plan. So it means that any vapor generated here will go on the outside. So vapor can be quite difficult for people to understand, insofar as we don't see it, we don't smell it particularly. We can sense it a bit, but if you think of vapor as being like smoke, if somebody was smoking there and you've got the fan over there, a lot of it is going to diffuse away, and you'll soon smell it elsewhere in the property. Mm-hmm. And obviously your bathroom fan is defective, so you've replaced that. I'm going to increase the timer on it because it didn't last the full half hour, but that's fine. You get cold. You've got all the cold water here coming through the pipes. And I'm going to guess there was possibly a condenser dryer. But anyway, irrespective of that, you've got the cold water. Now, the cold water is not the primary cause. The primary cause is internal vapor. If you do what I recommend, which is follow Joule's law, which is always keep the internal dew point below the external temperature, you won't have a problem with vapor condensing.
But if you don't, you'll find that cold water pipes bring in water at the temperature of the outside, more or less in winter. So it'll drop to sort of 8 or even lower degrees. So you insulate the pipes as much as possible, but that's difficult to do. I mean, there is some insulation there, but it's not great. It's not perfect, and it's almost impossible to make it perfect. So the other thing is the windows don't have any trickle vents, but that's a relatively small thing. But it's a sort of an additional. You can put it on. You can just have this slightly open on a safety lock, so it is open, but locked. So there's dampness deep inside. I'll show you the surface meter reading. Well, that would be considered normal, but actually that's because it's been damp proofed, which is hiding the damp rather than dealing with the damp. And we could see on the outside that the cause of the damp was from rainwater, the rainwater goods. So it's only right at the base of the wall, in the corner. Let's see over here. Here you've got the risk of these walls feel quite soft, but heat loss from the fibres coming in. I mean that won't cause that much. You've got a risk of condensation in here, particularly as when you're not using the radiators, they're going to cause heat loss. Let's just try it. This feels. That's dry lined, hiding the damp in there, and that's damp proofed and dry lined. It's a classic area you'll find damp. This would have been a door out, probably. No, it's fine. This gutter's overflowing here and dripping onto here. Very simple solution is just to access it from the neighbour's window, have a look, but clear it away and just see. If you look at my old videos, you'll see examples of properties that had a lot of dampness there, caused by some simple thing. So in one case, it was just some tiles that had loosened and come out, and I just pushed them back. It took a couple of minutes to solve the problem. So a lot of damp issues can be fixed almost immediately without any real cost. You see some more of the salts there.
Yeah.
And then you've got the damp proofing treatment up there, which is a bit weird. And this has no function at all. So this whole area has been damp proofed. These vertical dots, a bit strange, but anyway. But completely ignoring the fact you've got huge amounts of moss, which means that you've got water overflowing. Now, it looks relatively dry, but it is summertime. What you want to do, this pipe looks relatively new, so it's possible that it's historic. And what you want to do is come out during a rainstorm and have a look. And it's a very easy solution. Normally, it's a case of unblocking a drain. It's obviously going to be affecting all these properties here, including this, particularly on your left-hand neighbour. There's obviously rot there as well. That looks blocked. It's completely blocked. Oh no, it's okay. That's actually, it looks more blocked than it is. But yeah, you want to keep that clear. Do what I've just done. Perhaps even remove it a bit more, because you don't want that to overflow. Yeah, so 2 things to do here. Keep that unblocked regularly. Just check during a rainstorm that it's not overflowing, and make sure that it's not flowing out here. This could be historic or it could be ongoing. It's difficult to know.
Yeah.
without seeing it during a rainstorm. They're good for this floor type ventilation, but it's obviously broken there. But I wouldn't worry too much about that. I don't think it was an effect. We'll have a look at the back. It's completely understandable why new buyers are concerned about a property, especially when they find damp. It's easy to remove the source of the dampness, which is, in this case, is vapor. All you need to do is keep the internal vapor levels as measured in degrees centigrade temperature as dew point. Keep that always below the external temperature. That's following Dew's law, and by following it, you'll mitigate the risk of mold and condensation. Everyone has zones in their property that are close to external temperature, so that's why it works. It's essential that you do it. You might even think about doing some insulation, but if you follow those guidance and in the report, then you'll find that you won't have any problems going forward.